So, hey everybody, I'm back up here live, and I decided instead of doing tarot cards, because I didn't have any takers tonight, and that was all right too. It's Saturday night, and I only decided this today that I was going to get back up here. So, I've had a lot of requests, people wanting to know, wanting a story, so we'll have a bit of story time. I guess, so this is welcome back to the Heroin Chronicles, which I have to call now the Chronicles of Pauly T, because YouTube got onto me, and I don't think they like the title because it's not good for their advertising and all that sort of stuff. So, okay. So I thought the story I'd tell you tonight was something crossed my mind earlier on today, and that was about myself and my brother. We went to Israel about, oh God, when was it? About 1997. And I was back in Dublin at the time and using with my brother, and we both got in and got clean in Sister Concilio's up in Northern Ireland. We went in there, and my brother, myself, and my girlfriend, the three of us, went into the treatment centre. Like I said, I used to know Sister Concilio was a family friend. So we managed to get the three of us in at the same time into the treatment centre, which was pretty unheard of, especially a fella, his girlfriend and his brother. But because of it was early days of Coombe, and it hadn't been established, the rules weren't that well established, and I had a good family connection. She didn't know too much about drugs, because Sister Concilio at the time, but she was willing to take us in and try and help us, because she realised we couldn't get in anywhere else. And so we went up to actually it was earlier 90s. I can't remember, but anyway, going back a good 27 years. So where would that put us? Anyway, I'm trying to think what day. But anyway, let me tell you what happened. we were strung out at the time, my brother and myself. We were pretty bad, and I think we were pretty bad. But I think the lure of going to somewhere like Egypt or to Israel was, I'd wanted to go for a long time to Israel, and like I said, we went up to Coombe, up in Northern Ireland, into the treatment centre there. And when we got out of there, myself, my girlfriend, and my brother, while we were up there was only other alcoholics there. We were the only drug addicts there, so we were able to. Well, it wasn't that we went up there to abuse the place, but it was just the natural thing of what happened, because I would have to come down to Dublin to get my benefits to bring it back up to, because that's the way we were doing. We weren't registered up in the north, and I had to sort my dole out, so I was up and down to Dublin in the first couple of weeks, and she didn't know anything about withdrawals or anything, so I never had time to fully get through the withdrawals up there. Or I was telling her I needed to go back down to the dentist or some excuse, and I'm told I'd pick up the rent, and you were allowed to keep a few quid for yourself in Concilios, and I used to end up buying a bag of gear and coming up and smoking with my girlfriend and my brother, and we wouldn't get too stoned, but we would be affected, and we would never really get clean and get the recovery. But the long and the short of it was, we did live there physically clean about 6-7 weeks after just really like dabbling all the way through. And we went back to Dublin, and we got the opportunity. I wanted to go to Israel, and Nicole, the German girl I was with, she wanted to go too, and my brother wanted to go. So she managed to be able to get some money from her father, and so he thought it'd be a good thing we got up out of Dublin. So we went to Israel, and the idea was to go on the kibbutz And my brother Danny, he was to come out as well later, to follow us out when he got the few quid together, which he did. He was about 2 weeks later. He arrived out there. And when we got there, we got to Tel Aviv, and coming in from the airport, there was a lot of people at the airport saying, "I'll stay at this hostel, stay at this hostel." And it was this particular hostel in a place called Jaffa, just outside Tel Aviv. So myself and my girlfriend, we went there that night, and like I said, we arrived there pretty clean. We hadn't been on anything. We'd probably had a couple of nibbles since we got out of the treatment center, but we were for the most part we were good. And so we got into this hostel and we booked a room in it, and it's in the old part of outside of Tel Aviv in the Jaffa. It's a very old town. It's where Jonah got the boat that the whale had, so it's a biblical town there, just outside Tel Aviv in Israel. And so we're staying in this old hostel, and apparently we'd booked into a room, but when I got up the next day, I saw there's these little huts on the roof, and it was only something like $2 to stay on the roof. So we moved up there, and it was great crack on the roof. There was a lot because all the hippies, the backpackers, were traveling on a shoestring, were living on the roof, and that's where all the crack was. So we drink wine with them at night, and the few quid we had eventually went pretty quickly, and started to look for a bit of work. And then my brother arrived out. So this is the three of us again. It's me and my brother. It was like, in that relationship, it was crazy because it was that girl that Jim always felt that she was in a relationship with the two of us because we were both using, both hanging around together. She was using as well. So it was just a mess of codependency and craziness. But the story in Israel, it's a mad story. And I haven't thought, it only crossed my mind today. I hadn't thought about it much since it happened because it's so long ago. But anyway, the long and the short of it was, apart from getting some little jobs here and there, myself and my brother, we worked on a build site in Tel Aviv, taking all the balconies down. We were in this, I can only describe like a lift that people who wash windows would be in. It was one of them, and it was lowered down. We could lower ourselves down with the machine every time. We were up from the 17th floor right down. We had to work out. Our job was to take off these balconies. So there'd be guys with sledgehammers on the inside, and all that was left of the balcony was the floor, the floor at the bottom, the railings and all were gone. These guys were banging them with sledgehammers, and we'd have to come up and help them from the outside, taking all the rubbish and all the debris down. And it was very dangerous what we were doing. We were only getting like $2.50 or something an hour, me and my brother. But it was back then anyway. And the long and the short of it was, one of the Palestinian guys who was working with us on the site, we caught him smoking heroin, me and my brother. And then we kind of told him we knew what it was. And yeah, we were into that before. And he ended up offering us some, and that was the beginning of the good times in Israel finished right there. Because we used, and then it was only a matter of weeks until we were actively hunting it out every day. And I ran up a big bill in the hostel, got kicked out, but he had my passport. And so I was living on the beach with my brother, my girlfriend, no passport. My passport was in the hostel. So my brother and myself, we were nicking stuff from shops. We were topping off tourists. We were doing whatever we could. We were shoplifting, basically. And we had gone into this little jewelry store in Jaffa. It was made all these silver and gold rings. And I noticed there was a cabinet and there was keys in the cabinet. So I was only distracted the woman, and I opened it, took a whole tray of rings out of this little kind of souvenir shop. I got a tray with over 100 rings in it, and they were quite expensive. And I did feel terrible doing it on the woman, but we had no income at the time. We were just deliriously in withdrawals. So we went and we used to sell those rings down on the beach, down on the Dizengoff Street, down in the middle of Tel Aviv at night, where all the people would be sitting outside cafes. We just go by and sell the rings. But we might sell one or two in the night, but we'd get enough for a hit. And so we were living on the beach at the time, and we had seen an old horse box, and we cleaned it out. An old horse box on the beach, and we cleaned it out and put an old mattress in it and tied it up with a towel up on the window for a curtain. And, we were basically living in there. And it was more for shelter from the sun because it was very hot in the day, somewhere cool to sit because we were on the drugs at the time. And we prefer to sit in the cool and, as opposed to in the sun and the heat. When you're sick or stoned, that isn't very pleasant. So, yeah, we were basically living by shoplifting. Things were getting pretty chaotic. But on one particular day, my brother and my girlfriend went down to town to score. I was too sick. I asked guys, you to go, I can't move really. So they got up and they went to get something. And because we had been hoping someone was coming to have a look at all the rings that we had left. This guy we'd met the day before, someone we bought drugs off, but he never showed up. So they went off into town. While they're gone, your man shows up with his mate. And he had promised he'd bring some gear with him, which he did. So we were sitting in there. He asked for my brother and my girlfriend. I said, well, they're going to get something because I thought you guys weren't coming. So your man pulls out the gear and the tin foil, and we're sitting there. And as I said, there used to be a towel curtain on the window of the horse box. So it had fallen down because your man was having a smoke. And he said, can you fix that? And I jumped up to put the towel back up on the window. And as I'm doing it, I see all these policemen, all with their guns out, machine guns, handguns, everything. And they're all crawling around the horse box that we're in on the beach. So I look around at the two Palestinian guys that have the heroin, and I said, the police, the police, the police. And they're like sitting there with the tin foil. What? I said, the fucking police are outside with guns. The guy, it just ran and said, the police? And I'm like, yes, yes. And then they started to eat all the little bags of heroin and the tin foil, and they started to put it into their mouth. And just then the two doors of the horse were bust open. And all these police came in screaming, put your hands over there. So I'm like, don't shoot. I'm in here with these two Palestinians. And what had happened was a business owner in a little bar on the beach had seen us coming and going, and he used to look at us when we were coming and going to the horse box at night. But he didn't really say anything. But this time, he'd seen these two dodgy-looking Palestinian guys, and him being the Jewish bar owner, he rang the police on and said, there's a couple of dodgy-looking characters going into this horse box where I know there's some tourists staying, that was us. And so the police, just hearing this, he said there were two Palestinian guys, thought there might have been something up, something nefarious up. But they were straight out, and they busted us all in the box. And then they saw the little bits they didn't get all the thing, they caught I think a bag or two off one of the guys, or some tin foil with traces on it or something. They got some evidence anyway. And they chained us all up, marched us out of the box, the horse box, onto the beach, and I'm fucking sweating at the time. The sweat's pouring down my back and down my hand, and I can hardly mind. Only the adrenaline is giving me the power to be able to get up and obey the cop. And so anyway, I've only got a pair of shorts on and a pair of flip-flops. I don't even have a t-shirt. And we all got pulled out of the horse box, and there's my brother and my girlfriend coming back towards the horse box with big happy heads on them because they've just scored. And then they see the police and me and the other two guys, and then I can see them stopping, and then they're like, they don't know whether to approach me, and I'm kind of like pretending not to say anything. But I'm glad they see me, so I'm hoping I can go on. I'm trying to mouth to my brother, go to the jail. I wanted to get bailed out immediately. That's what I'd hoped. But anyway, we all got put into the paddy wagon and brought down downtown to Tel Aviv. This is in Jaffa, mind you, which is just on the outskirts of Tel Aviv, so 3 kilometers outside Tel Aviv. And so they brought us down anyway, and they brought us down and put us in cells. You know, I took us one by one. The 2 Palestinian guys, they interviewed them, they interviewed me, and then I was put back into a different cell with some other Palestinian guys. And then I was waiting to hear what would happen, and then a cop came in and he told me that I'd be going to the prison, but I'd be going to court in 2 days. And I said, no, prison? I can't go to prison. So I was dying sick. So I was sent to Abu Kabir prison in Tel Aviv. I packed in like sardines to a van with loads of Palestinians. There didn't seem to be any Jewish people or any other foreigners there. And parked off to this prison. And so this prison was like, have you ever seen Midnight Express? Something like that, the yard with all this wailing and Islamic mosque shouting. But then there is Jewish people, there were Jewish people there, there were some Hasidic Jews there, and they were praying. So you've got them praying, and then you've got the Muslims praying as well. And then you've just got the general roushness that you get in any prison yard and shouting, and it's all in Hebrew and Arabic, and I'm just there in the heat, and I come in into this yard, and I just go, well, I haven't even a cigarette, nothing. I go over and sit down on my hunkers over in the corner with my back against the wall, just surveying just all these, just this madness all around me, and I'm dying sick and I'm not feeling well. And I just remember seeing these blonde curly hair, this bloke about 6'2", just starts walking through, and it's like they all opened up to let this, because he was huge, you know, and he walked, they're all small over there, and he just walks through, and he's 200 Marlboro underneath his arm, denim jacket over his shoulder, big Dutch guy named Jens, and he'd seen me sitting over in the corner, an obvious Northern European, came over and said, hey man, where are you from? I said, I'm from Dublin. So I'm Jens, I'm from the Netherlands. And he puts down his hand and pulls me up off the ground. He said, what cell are you in? I said, I'm on 34, the second wing there. He says, come. He walked over to the guard and said to the guard in Hebrew, this is my friend, he's going to stay in my cell. And the guard just took out his clipboard and just took my name off one cell and put it into another. Amazing. So I just went up with him into his cell. And they had what they call the international cell. There was a Colombian, there was a Dutch fella, there was 2 Russians. There was a French guy for a couple of days. He was there, and but the Colombian guy had been there like 9 months on remand. And all I knew was I had a court date in 2 days, and so I went up and the guy gave me 20 cigarettes, and you know we used to make coffee in the cell from the light bulb. They had a hairpin attached to the 2 wires, and they had triple bunks. So there was 9 of us in the cell, so you could stretch out your arm and then boil the plastic cup full of water, and we'd make coffee. So I was there for 2 days. Jens tried to get me a little bit of heroin, but it wasn't possible at the time. And but he said there had been bits in and out, but he didn't take it himself. But he tried to get me because he was just one of those decent, good human beings that helped me. Or tried to help me at the time anyway. He certainly showed me some kindness, which I really appreciated, because I was feeling really lost over there in the prison system. I was up in court then 2 days later, and in the centre of Tel Aviv. And I remember underneath the court, there was almost like a dungeon. You had to go up nearly 100 meters, 100 steps up into the court from this cold subterranean cell packed with about 40 people. Something that looks like there should be no more than 20 people in. It's about 40 of us there. And we were 3-4 hours waiting for a court call. And I went up and I got remanded. Excuse me, because there was no interpreter. So I got remanded, but remanded for another 2 days. So the same thing, back to the cell, back to the same place. 2 days later, back out in the court again. And eventually I got off. The long story short, I was able to speak to the judge. I asked, could I speak out? I said, I didn't have any heroin on me. I said, I didn't know these 2 guys. They just came in. They didn't know I was there. I didn't know them. And They said, and what were I doing at the horse box? Well, Your Honour, I ran out of money and I was trying to stay there. I was waiting for my father to send over some money in Western Union. I was going to go home. And he said, okay. And I said, just in the wrong place in the wrong time. He says to me, the judge at Perfect English didn't even go through the translator. And I said, exactly, Your Honour. He said, okay. And he said something then in Hebrew. I didn't know what was going on. And then he just turned and I said, you can go. So I had to go back down to this fucking subterranean dungeon and wait for 3 hours to do all the paperwork, go back up. And then I had to make my own way across the city back to the prison to get my bits and pieces, because I left my passport was still in the reception. Not my passport, the ID that I had at the time, because which was a birth cert. It was the only thing I had on me. Because my passport was actually in the got to tell you this, the passport was actually in the hostel because I had owed money. But the police had brought me to the hostel and got my passport. I forgot to tell you that. When I got arrested, they brought me there because they needed ID, and I had a birth cert. They didn't know what I was talking about. What's this? And they just took me, and they took my passport. And my passport was never brought to the prison. So I had to go from the courts way over the other side of the city to the prison. And I'm doing all this when I'm sick. And then back over to the police station where I'd been arrested and get my passport. And yeah, that was crazy. And then I bumped into my brother, and I'd been missing 4 days, in the prison. Bumped into him on the street, and we were at that situation in time where we decided it was time to go home. And this is in 9 months of a story I'm after packing into about a minute here. And I just really told you about 4 days in prison. Suffice to say, the whole journey was just us meeting these oddballs and strange people and travelers. Some travelers that used heroin, but otherwise we were just buying the heroin from there was a big prostitute community that used heroin in Tel Aviv, and there was lots of all the transsexuals used to sell the heroin, and that's where we used to go together, right down the main strip down in Dissendorf Street, of the transsexuals, or sell them whiskey and cigarettes that we would have been shoplifting. But not my proudest time, I was wild, and I was on a mad one. My brother was on with me, and so was this German girl. It was crazy. I don't know how the three of us, I don't know how the three of us didn't get locked up, but I got locked up. I did, and I got out again, and I got up out of Israel as soon as I could get a ticket out of there. That's it, my brother and the German girl. So I thought I'd just throw that in and have a look at the some comments. Hey, Emmanuel, how you doing, brother? Big shout out to Levi the cat. Happy plan 2 and 2. How you doing? Who's that Gary Mike? Finglas in the house. Shout out to Finglas. Horse box here. Jeez. Common scarce. Anyway, guys, listen, thanks for joining me here late tonight. This is live, trying to recount the story live. It's the first time I've done it. And I've tripped over and probably missed little bits that I wanted to tell you. But I was trying to do some tarot live here tonight earlier on. And not so many people were up for a tarot reading, but I'm going to get on it and get the tech a bit better here. And because the sound is pretty difficult for me to hear, and I'll probably pick a more regular time when I know you guys will be maybe sort of middle of the week or later at night or something. We can get up on it with the tarot. But that was the time I was in Israel about, I don't know, 27, 28 years ago. Maybe more. Jesus, what am I talking about? Probably about 30, 32 years ago, 31, 32 years ago, yeah. Oh my God, I forget, I'm 59. I'm 59 next month. So I'm delighted, for somebody who was told I wouldn't see 30. And yeah, man, when I'm 60 this time, well, next year, August 60, I'm going to have a big party somewhere, and you're all invited. And I mean that. I'm going to have a big party. I'm going to rent a field or something and have a little rave. psychedelic tea and just the best of everything. Celebrate 60 years, so I hope to do that. And meanwhile, I would encourage everybody to be kind to each other. And I can tell you something. In my life, the people that were kind to me, even like that guy, and that Dutch guy I was talking about, giving me cigarettes, making sure I was all right, because you could see I was kind of a bit bewildered and know where I was at. And but those kinds, I've never forgot people that have shown these little acts of kindness. That never underestimate what your kindness can do. And giving out that kind of kindness with no expectation, really good kindness comes back. And I have great love in my life, and I get motivated by the wonderful love that's around me, and it encourages me to be more loving. I thank everybody for. Don't forget to hit that like button and help us in the algorithms there, guys. Yeah, do that. Well, if you're checking in, if you're on there, when you're checking out, or when you just hit that thumbs up and give us a shout here, and because YouTube is run by a computer that responds to likes, comments, and shares. It's really got nothing to do with content, but that's okay too. It's all a game, man. We're just playing this game. Plugged in right now, Pauly T. Everybody who took the time out to join me tonight. I was supposed to do something terrible, but you know what? I thought I'd just tell a story. I hadn't been up here in a while, and I'm trying to get comfortable with doing lives, because I like the interaction. Look forward to the party. Happy Plant, you're very welcome. Come to the party, bro. Shane, you're right, man. The world's very insular, social media. You can all be so absorbing. It is, bro. And even me doing this blog, I had to pull back from it just to give myself a breather, because nothing's worth tampering your spirit with. If things are going good, there's if it's not broke, don't fix it, isn't it? And let's see. Wise words spoken with kindness. Yeah, bro, kindness, isn't everything just all about energy? And what we put out comes back to us. There's no doubt about that. I think anybody will agree with that. You don't need to be woke. You don't need to be religious. You don't need to be spiritual. Even just a little bit sensible. We can see there's enough information out there now for everybody to know that everything is just energy. And what we put out, we get back. That's one thing everybody will agree on. All the different religions, all the different paths, all the traditions, all the different programs, even fellowships programs will all agree. What we put out in energy is what comes back to us. I think in the Bible it goes, by the cup it is measured, so shall it be measured to you. So what we give is what we get. And that way we are the creators of our own living experience. And I just feel very blessed to be able to experience with kindness and love, and that in return gives me the energy to propagate, promote, and try to live a better life. And because in that there's freedom, and in freedom, true freedom, is just the ability to love without fear. It's no more, no less. But that in itself is huge. It's everything. Because love is the energy that created the world. It keeps it going. So a life without love, it's not a life worth living. Not for me, not now. There has to be love in my life. And life in my love. Hey, this is Pauly T. This is Cold Turkey. Thanks everybody who checked in and listened to that little story and helped me get sort of over the hump of being off this for a while. I needed to push on through, get back up in here and plug in with my peeps. Pauly T for Cold Turkey. Sign now. Thank you.